Lando. He's hung like, oh, sorry. Happy Monday, everyone. So as Kamala Harris prepares for tomorrow's debate, a former aide to Hillary Clinton is playing Trump in mock rehearsals. So if Harris loses and that guy goes missing, you know who to blame. I'm not saying she kills people, but I'm not saying it. Now, the debate is planned for 90 minutes, which gives Kamala's husband, Doug, enough time to knock up 3 nannies. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is busy trying to make Kamala feel at home by also knocking up a nanny. The debate is expected to feature 2 commercial breaks, one break to take Kamala's wine order and the other to take her second wine order. Nancy Pelosi claims that Trump might skip the debate, saying, "I know cowardice when I see it." True, it's the fear she sees in her husband's eyes when she puts on a one-piece. Hey, you disgust me! One challenge for Kamala, pollsters claim Harris is falling behind among male voters in key states. To woo them, her running mate Tim Walz has promised men free tampons. Meanwhile, the Harris campaign now says she does not support banning plastic straws. I'm glad she's been listening to the experts. On this day in 1890, KFC founder Colonel Sanders was born. After his mom gave birth, the doctor placed him under a heat lamp next to some mashed potatoes and gravy. A New York Fashion Week show featured models pretending to do yard work on the runway. I sure hope they were able to trim all the bushes. And a Mexican city broke the Guinness World Record for the world's largest string cheese ball. Sadly, it's since gone missing, but police have a suspect. So tomorrow, we got the first and likely only presidential debate before the November election. We really won't count the first one. The only debate there was who got to shoot Joe behind the barn. But as Trump pulls back ahead in the polls, the stakes for Kamala in this debate are as high as Hunter in a titty bar champagne room. For Kamala Harris must convince the voting public that she's not Kamala Harris. That she's not the dope for the last 4 years who was yucking it up like a hyena on ecstasy. So we're going to get Kamala doing an impression of herself as a moderate Democrat or even a full-on Republican as she flip-flops on every position like an Australian breakdancer. And as Kamala transforms herself into something closer to reality, what will America see tomorrow? A bootleg version that's faker than a Brian Kilmeade fan letter. Don't believe me? Let's ask Bernie Sanders, a man who owns more houses than your friend who cheats at Monopoly and whose hair made him look like he was just tased by cops. Here he is on Meet the Press.
You have described Vice President Kamala Harris as a progressive. She has previously supported Medicare for all. Now she does not. She's previously supported a ban on fracking. Now she does not. Do you think that she is abandoning her progressive ideals?
No, I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. I think she's trying to be pragmatic and doing what she thinks is right in order to win the election.
If a bowl of soup could talk, it would sound like that. But Bernie just gave Kamala up like he was facing 10 to 20 for carjacking a rascal scooter. Because if Kamala is being pragmatic by flipping all her positions, then by definition, she was anything but pragmatic before. She was the opposite, as reckless as Chris Christie at the Cheesecake Factory. Dems have known it all along. Her head was full of crap, paired with a president whose pants were full of crap, too. So while Bernie asserts she's just doing it all to win the election, admitting it's all a front, he also admits that Trump's positions are far more pragmatic and therefore way better for America. And that were Kamala to win, she'll return to her radical roots ASAP, only to become pragmatic again 4 years later when she runs for re-election in what's left of America. This is why the flip-flop argument is pointless. If only she would flip-flop. No, she flip-flop-flips. For we have no proof she will remain true to these new positions. It's a grift, an arrogant insult to her own supporters. Now, this is the second time the veil has dropped. You remember Joe Biden, right? The guy at the beach? He might be the first U.S. president in history who meets his end by being impaled by a wind-blown umbrella. But he still managed to unload a secret that Dems and media happily hid for so long, that the Inflation Reduction Act was anything but.
I'm proud to announce that my investments, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever, and by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called the, we should have named it what it was, but at any rate.
Well, anyway, it's kind of scary. The leader of the free world is one step above driftwood. But imagine how many people worried about overprices of food and gas, and they were led to believe the White House was solving that with this bill. And it was just a Trojan horse meant to hide billions and billions and billions in a climate swindle. How can you vote for these lying scumbags again? Say what you will about Trump, America knows exactly who he is, a guy who's literally willing to die for his country. But with Kamala, America's getting a Tinder date. And her whole party's catfishing us, sending us pictures of Megan Fox when we're really getting Red Fox.
I'd rather have Red Fox than
Yeah. We see her on our phone screens, but we won't actually know her until after November 5th when it's too late. And so Kamala's honeymoon has lasted as long as Ben and J-Lo's, but this time, it's the media that's the giant ass. The latest New York Times Siena poll has Trump pulling ahead of Harris in the popular vote. Worse, he's falling behind among men in battleground states like Nevada and PA. Of course, Dems are freaking out and pointing to misogyny as the reason why. But if Nevada hates women, then explain the bunny ranch. Thank you. So as you watch the debate, remember that no matter who says what, there's only one party hiding its candidates like eggs on Easter. If your only strategy to win is to hide your true character, what's that say about you, your party, the media that's in on the ruse? It says you're a Democrat, because only in today's Democrat Party is integrity considered a liability. Let's welcome tonight's guest! New York would have been super if we had elected this paratrooper, former GOP Congressman Lee Zeldin. He's so dreamy that the crowd falls asleep. Comedian Jeff Dye. Her book is on sale, and she belongs in jail.
Oh.
New York Times bestselling author, Fox News contributor, Cat Tip. And his doctor uses a surfboard as a tongue depressor. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA World Champion, Tyrus. Lee, if I may call you that. May I?
You call me whatever you want, Greg.
All right.
mistake.
Cherry bottom. Do you have any advice for Trump? Everybody's giving advice as if he's going to listen. I don't think he listens. But in my perspective, it feels like Kamala's not in step with the country's concerns. And how does he kind of focus on that?
Focus on the issues. Let Trump be Trump. Just be true to who you are and what you believe in. He knows who he is. He knows what the country is. He knows what the country should be. I mean, Kamala Harris, well, the real Kamala Harris, please stand up. You see a person who's playing Trump in the Harris debate prep, but the Harris campaign is about dressing Harris up as Trump. During this one interview with Dana Bash that took place, Harris was talking about 4 times in 1 minute. She was talking about how her values haven't changed, but she's flip-flopping on everything. From, she wants to ban fracking, she doesn't want to ban fracking. Entering the country illegally, it should be a crime. It shouldn't be a crime. She's all over the place. And how can you trust someone who doesn't know who they are, what they want to be? The only thing that she is unequivocal about is being unequivocally full of Yeah. Trump just needs to be himself.
Yeah. You know who didn't mind when she flip-flopped? Willie Brown. He respects a woman who changes her mind, Jeff Dye. Her support is slipping. Can you relate to her in this area?
My support is up. What are you talking about? I'm on Gutfeld, baby. Yeah. What is going on?
Way to turn it around.
I don't think. Why is she surprised that male support is down for her? It's like these girls in LA who complain, like, I don't know how I'm single, but then you go to their social media and it's just like, men are trash. And it's like, yeah, your probably support's. Also, you know why male support's down, Kamala? Men have to go to war. I don't want to go to war. I don't think, but a lot of men, and you might say, well, women go to combat too. Yeah, well, my dog rides with me in the car, but I don't put him in front of the steering wheel. It's true, we have to die.
A sexist would say.
A sexist would say. Cats! Congrats! We're going to talk about your book in the D block.
Nice.
D is for delicious.
Thank you.
So, what do you have to say about the flip-flopping? Is it really flip-flopping, or is it just old-fashioned lying?
Well, I think she does have values. I just think that her values are she wants to be a politician. She wants to stay in power. I think that it just depends on what she thinks is going to be popular. I really do think it's really that simple with her. I'm really kind of just excited for tomorrow. I mean, for me, my favorite thing to think about is the fact that they've never met before. Right? Isn't that? I'm pretty sure they've never met, right? This is their first time.
It's like Married at First Sight.
Yeah, each of them has thought of probably no one else for a while now, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're running against somebody for president. But they've never actually met. And we get to see it for the first time.
What if they fell in love? What if all of a sudden their eyes met and they're like,
what if
oh
they're
my
like,
God.
Listen, I was wrong about you.
Yeah, I go, you know what?
Now that I meet you, I take back everything I said.
You know what?
Kiss.
This election. Let's get the hell out of here.
No, you be president. No, you be president.
That'd be amazing.
Doug, I love you, but I gotta go. And then he calls.
I mean, I just think that's. Listen, at this point, I never say that couldn't happen.
Yeah. You never know. You never know. The world's a crazy place.
But also, I mean, we haven't seen her really in a situation like this in quite some time, or at all very much.
Yes.
So, man, I'm just excited.
Me too.
This must be how people who like sports feel.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. Speaking of the sports analogy, Tyrus, some people, when they watch big games, they have to delay it. I'm going to have to delay so it's not live, so I can see what responses, so I don't have a heart attack. I'm going to do that with a debate. I'm going to let it go and then pause it, and then do other things and then come back. Is that stupid?
No, I'm not gonna. You're walking me into one of your little traps here, where I end up sitting next to you, watching it. I'm like, isn't this fun? I'm like, no. I have no excitement for this. I think we're gonna see what we've been seeing. I think we'll see the same crap we've been seeing. He's gonna try to answer questions. She's gonna forget the rehearsed answers. It'll be the same thing. I don't think this election's close at all. I think she's an influencer. Her campaign managers are influencers. So all the pictures you see on social media and the people who selfies, so they look great, but then you catch them at a market on a Wednesday and you're like, wait, that can't be this person. That's what it is. She doesn't have a real bone in her body, which tells me that she's an incredibly mean person. You don't have any footage of her and the staff messing around. Do we actually see her eat a Dorito chip? Has anyone seen her?
She's never with anybody in her staff.
Have you ever seen her like, oh, sorry, I got Dorito dust in my fingers? No, because she don't eat Dorito chips, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? She is as manufactured as that 10% on social media. I don't think this is even close. I think the other side keeps it close, so they keep turning in. I think this is going to be like a Mike Tyson fight from back in the 90s, and the other guy was undefeated, and this is the guy, and the fight's over. You're like, man, I lost my $70. So I don't think this is close. It's much. She'll blow this. She'll fall apart, and they'll say that Trump's racist when it's over. Don't
you think, though, that Trump could possibly make it worse for himself?
No, he's ducked bullets. He's been called Hitler for 12 years. I think there's nothing they can say to get under his skin at this point. I think he's just laid back.
All right.
If he's smart, he'll take that slow talk conversation battle he won from Lex Friedman, and he'll talk like that during the debate, and it'll be an easy day for him.
All right, you can't forgive Lex Friedman for his slow talking. All right. Up next, they hated Cheney's guts, but now they kiss his butt.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like tickets to see Gutfeld, go to foxnews.com/Gutfeld and click on the link to join our studio audience.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.